Welcome to the bullshit-free zone. Welcome to Weight Loss Biohacks. In this video, we will explain how nicotine supplements, such as nicotine gum, nicotine patches, lozenges, and mouth sprays, not smoking, but nicotine supplements, can make it significantly easier to lose body fat. More specifically, we will address the following topics. First, I'll give you a brief introduction about this channel and explain the big idea that this channel is centered around. I'll keep this part very brief, just a few minutes. We will then explain whether nicotine is bad for you, and then speak about how exactly nicotine can help you lose weight. We will then continue with the health benefits of nicotine beyond weight loss, more specifically, how it can reduce the incidence of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. We will then address the big question you probably have, which is, am I going to get addicted to nicotine supplements, such as the gum or the patches? Then we will speak about side effects and how you can minimize them, and thereafter give a precise guide on how to employ nicotine supplements for dieting purposes. We will conclude this discussion with one final question, which is, what if you're already smoking? Can you still go ahead and use nicotine supplements? Now, a quick word about what exactly this channel aims to accomplish. This channel aims to give you a simple, actionable plan to lose weight as easily and as quickly as possible by employing an effective pharmacological substance set and proven diet strategies to harness the power of modern science. So, let's put it this way. What we must do to lose weight has been solidly established after 100 years of research. You must consume fewer calories than you burn. That's simple. There is no way around this. Clever tricks such as doing 15-minute exercises every morning that target belly fat or sipping exotic concoctions before every meal just will not work as long as you're consuming more calories than you're burning. Now, if what we must do is very well established and rather straightforward, why is it so hard to do? Very simple. Because we have an urge to eat high-calorie foods. You can call it appetite, hunger, urge, conditioning, whatever you will, but we must take this under control. And the good news is, safe and effective substances do exist to significantly suppress excess appetite and make it much easier to stick to whatever diet you pick. Add a few behavioral biohacks, and the weight will come off as easily as it possibly can. Still, it's not going to be a walk in the park, but it will be significantly easier than it otherwise would be. You probably have a lot of questions such as what to eat, when to eat, and we'll speak about all of these. You may be wondering if you have to exercise, and no, you don't have to. We will address all of them. Now, finally, before we speak about nicotine, a few words about myself. Who the hell am I, and why do I think I should be sitting here and talking to you? I'm originally an investment banker, but my true passion in life is biology, human biology. Exercise, nutrition, medicine, you name it, I'm into it. I first started working as a personal trainer exactly 30 years ago in order to make some side income when I was in college, and the weight room and anything athletic, anything to do with the human body has been my passion ever since, even while working as an investment banker on Wall Street, and I mean as in literally on Wall Street itself, on the street. I continued to train people because it's my passion. For the most part, I couldn't accept payments because it was against the rules of the bank to do so. But I have continued working with people, helping people, being in the weight room, being involved in the game for the last 30 years uninterruptedly. During the last 20 years with the advent of the internet, I have done a lot of exchanges with people from all around the world. Whenever I'm using a substance that I speak to you about, and I've used every single substance that I'm addressing in these videos, always legally, always with a prescription where necessary, but I've used every single one of them. Whenever I experience something unusual, I go online, I ask people, I speak to people face to face. Basically, I live and breathe this stuff. You will see. I'll explain more as we go along. But now, it's time for the superstar of this episode, nicotine. What is nicotine? It's an effective, affordable, easily accessible, and legal substance, legal in every single jurisdiction that I know, that can help reduce your urge to eat. As a result, it will make it easier to stick to whatever diet you pick and make the weight loss process much easier. We're of course not talking about smoking, it's a terrible idea, but nicotine supplements in the form of, for example, nicotine patches and gums, the nicotine mouth spray, lozenges are extremely helpful. First of all, is nicotine bad for you? If it's bad for you, we don't want to touch it, even if it will help you lose weight. Nope, it is not bad for you in any way, shape, or form. Actually, it's great for you, as we're going to see in a minute. First of all, does it cause cancer? Let's go to the CDC's website and read what they have to say about this. By the way, everything that you see on the screen, whether it's a quote from a medical authority, whether it's a piece of scientific literature, it's all linked in the description below. You can go ahead and click and go to the page and read the details for anything that you see on the screen. The CDC says, using nicotine medicine will not cause cancer like smoking. Using nicotine medicine will not cause lung disease like smoking. Then the American Cancer Society on its website asks, does nicotine cause cancer? And the answer is a straight up no. The World Health Organization also asks, does nicotine cause cancer? And the answer is a straight up no. Great. Now, will nicotine help you lose weight? And absolutely it will. In this particular research, where they were trying to come up with ways to help people not put on weight after people quit smoking, the researchers start by listing the known facts. This is, by the way, how research studies are usually introduced. In the introductory part, the researchers list what we already know for a fact. They then pose questions to answer in that piece of research, but they start with the knowns. Listen to what they say in the introductory part. They say, the principal constituent of smoking that affects body weight is nicotine, which reduces body weight by suppressing appetite and food intake, increasing energy expenditure, raising the resting metabolic rate, increasing lipolysis, and fat oxidation. Beautiful. By the way, if you want a quick and easy listen, a fun listen, go to the link that you should now be seeing on your screen. It's also given at the bottom under descriptions. NPR, National Public Radio, did a piece a long time ago, back in 2011, but it's still as relevant today as it was back then. And it basically explains all the intricate mechanisms why nicotine curbs your appetite. Highly recommended. Beautiful piece. Now, another research published in the Diabetes, Obesity, and Metabolism Journal. In this case, they looked at the appetite suppressant effect of nicotine gum and tried to combine it with caffeine, precisely what we will go ahead and do in the later part of this presentation. They tested 1 or 2 milligrams of nicotine in the form of nicotine gum and combined it with either 50 or 100 milligrams of caffeine. All of these doses are very reasonable, and if anything, they are rather small and modest dosages. The nicotine gum comes in 1 and 2 milligrams. Most of them are like 2 milligrams. In addition, 100 milligram of caffeine is a very reasonable amount to get from coffee. In fact, a standard 8-ounce or like a 300 ml cup that you will brew at home has approximately 100 milligrams of caffeine, give or take. Anything that you get from Starbucks has significantly more. And it worked very well. Let's see what they say in the conclusion. The conclusion is caffeine added to nicotine chewing gum appears to amplify its attenuating effects on appetite, and the combinations of 1 milligram of nicotine with caffeine seem to be well tolerated. Beautiful. And in this particular research, they used nicotine patches. Again, something that we have access to and can use. They say treatment with transdermal nicotine reduced craving for cigarettes, anxiety, irritability, and appetite, as well as weight. I'm not going to read the whole thing in detail. I'm only highlighting certain portions. Otherwise, the video would be even longer than it already is. But all of this research is referenced in the is linked to in the description section. Alrighty, what do we have so far? So far, we've seen that nicotine patches and nicotine gum will strongly curb appetite, and side effects appear to be mild. We'll come back to side effects in a moment. Now, you're probably thinking, well, it's all good and well, but if I go ahead and use these things, I'm going to be on them for a long period of time because I either have a lot of weight to lose or I have a modest amount of weight to lose, but I want to lose it at a slow and steady pace, and it'll take me a while. Can I be on these things for an extended period of time? And the answer is yes. This is from the American College of Cardiology's CardioSmart journal, and they have compared longer-term use of the nicotine patch to a shorter-term use. More specifically, they compared 6 versus 12 months of nicotine patch use. Now, 6 months is already a long time, and that is assumed to be safe based on the previous research published. They say, and I quote, "The good news, however, was that 12 months of nicotine patch use was just as safe as 2 and 6 months of use." Based on these findings, authors conclude that while a year of nicotine patch use is safe, it does not help smokers quit any more than 6 months of treatment. But that's not what we're looking to do in this particular instance. Now, take a listen to Professor Huberman and let him explain why nicotine is great for us. You will find that very interesting.
Analogy, admittedly.
What's the verdict on cigarettes? Are they bad for real?
Okay, nicotine, but here's what's crazy. Nicotine is neuroprotective. Nicotine is great for us. Not that everyone should take it, but it increases acetylcholine and dopamine and epinephrine, leads to heightened focus, improved memory, and can offset neurodegeneration and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's.
Now, is that crazy or what? Nicotine is great for us, to quote Professor Huberman, and it offsets Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Very interesting. Now, I'll just show you some quick screenshots of the kind of research that Professor Huberman has in mind when he says these things. I'm not going to go into detail of those because of many reasons. That's too much of a detail, and I'm certainly not an expert in neurobiology. But in this particular instance, for example, they looked at the capability of nicotine to promote neuron survival by suppressing sirtuin 6. In another research, they say, and I quote, "The discovery of an inverse correlation between smoking and Parkinson's disease and later Alzheimer's disease as well motivated investigation of nicotine as a neuroprotective agent." In another research, they're talking about yet another pathway through which nicotine can save neurons. So it actually does the kind of work that Professor Huberman is referring to through a wide variety of pathways. It's protected in more ways than one. By the way, there's another benefit of nicotine, which is the mental clarity and focus that it provides. I especially found the quote mental endurance aspect of nicotine to be very worthwhile. Now, while working on Wall Street, as the more investment oriented among you may know, you go through these periods where companies announce earnings. It's called earnings season. At the end of the trading day, when markets close, companies will state how much they've earned, how much they've sold over the last 3 months, and they will go into details of those numbers during a call that can last anywhere from an hour to 2.5 hours. At the end of a long day, when other people go home, you have to sit there and listen to this whole thing, take very careful notes, and then sit down and type a long report, which you will then present to clients next morning. And I found that especially difficult because I'm the kind who likes to go home not too late. Whenever I chew the nicotine gum right before sitting through those conference calls, I found it much easier to focus and concentrate. The difference wasn't that great when I chewed the nicotine gum during the early parts of the day when I still had sufficient mental stamina. But towards the end of the day, when I was mostly spent, nicotine gum made a big, big difference. Okay, the big question you probably have on your mind is, it sounds good so far, but am I going to get addicted? You know what? Chances are you will not. Because, as strange as it may sound, nicotine on its own is not really addictive. It becomes addictive when combined with the monoamine oxidase inhibitors found in tobacco. I know that's strange. Now listen to what the previous research that I've shown in the previous prior page actually starts by saying. This is absolutely eye-opening. It says, nevertheless, clinical studies show that abusers of pure nicotine, i.e. of nicotine isolated from tobacco, do not exist. This is some crazy stuff. What it says is, if you isolate nicotine in the form of a nicotine gum or a lozenge or a spray or whatnot, people do not abuse this. It doesn't say such people are in the minority. It says do not exist. Absolutely eye-opening. It continues and says, in addition, the nicotinized cigarettes were found to reduce craving and withdrawal signs, strongly suggesting that agents other than nicotine are involved in tobacco addiction. Now, it's also worth noting that the route of administration hugely matters in the addictive potential of a substance. If you go ahead and chew and swallow an illicit substance, provided that such substance has oral bioavailability, versus injected intravenously. The second route of administration is much, much more likely to get you addicted, because whenever there's a blood spike, there's a sudden spike in the blood concentration of an agent, the addictive potential is much, much higher. And if you inhale tobacco, if you inhale nicotine, it goes into the bloodstream, hitting you very suddenly, significantly increasing the chances of addiction. Now, because of that, and because of other reasons, as follows, we're not going to vape. Because of various reasons. Number one, vaping carries a higher risk of addiction. Even though it's still far less than smoking, the probability is higher compared to other forms of nicotine supplements. It is very bad for your lungs. The effects of nicotine inhalation in the form of vaping are too short-lived to be useful for dieting purposes. I highly recommend that you click on the link that you'll see on the screen right now and read what Johns Hopkins says about vaping in your lungs. Now let's conclude this discussion about safety by referring to the CDC and reading what it says on its website regarding who should not use nicotine. It says do not use nicotine if you have had a heart attack in the last 2 weeks, which is kind of funny, by the way. If you had a heart attack 3 weeks ago, it appears, reading this literally, that you can go ahead and use it. Well, a serious heart rhythm problem, pain in your heart, allergy to adhesive tape or any other serious skin problems like psoriasis and eczema, because you'll be sticking something on your skin if you use a nicotine patch, could be pregnant or are breastfeeding if you're less than 18 years old. Now, all of the content on my YouTube channel is only for individuals above 18 years of age. Okay, what are the side effects? Even though nicotine appears to be harmless, in fact, good for you, there can still be side effects. Even something as benign as apple cider vinegar can have side effects. So what are those when it comes to nicotine, and what can we do about them? Now, side effects are mild, and most importantly, they go away right after you stop. In other words, if you take nicotine and suffer any ill effects, they will go away as soon as you stop taking nicotine. They will not linger on. And the side effects are mild nausea, which often goes away with use. And I'm not talking about, and I probably written this page in slightly confusing manner, I'm not talking about mild nausea going away after, when I say mild nausea goes away after a while, I'm not talking about stopping the nicotine and nausea going away. No, that will certainly happen. If you really dislike and stop it, nausea should disappear instantly. But if you continue to use nicotine, the positive effects will likely persist, while side effects such as nausea should dissipate or completely go away after a while. There's potential stomach upset, happens more with the gum, and we'll address that. And it may or may not interfere with sleep, which we will also address. Now, we are afraid of what we don't know, and if we do not know, we make assumptions. Do not assume if you should get any side effect from nicotine, that is because you're causing permanent damage. You're not. None of the substances that we will talk on this channel have the capability, have the potential to cause permanent damage. The side effects are simply part of the set of the effects of the medicine, and they will go away, sometimes immediately, sometimes after a short while, if you stop using the agent. Nicotine does not have the potential to do damage. Okay, so if I want to go ahead and give this nicotine thing a try for dieting purposes, how exactly do I take it? Simple. It depends on what type of appetite suppression you want. If you want constant, steady appetite control that will last most or even all of the day, can last up to 24 hours a day, use a nicotine patch. You can always add the coffee to it to multiply the effect. On the other hand, if you need appetite control only for specific occasions, lasting 30 to 90 minutes, sometimes up to 2 hours, use a nicotine gum. Again, if desired, add caffeine. My recommendation is, if you're going to add caffeine, to simply go ahead and drink a good cup of coffee. Let's first talk about the nicotine patch in detail. The patch comes in various strengths. In the United States, there are the 7, 14, and 21 milligram sizes. Start with the smallest one, as desired, go up a size every third day. It is usually more economical if you want to start with the smaller size to buy the large one, to buy the 21 milligram size and cut it into smaller pieces, especially if you see yourself likely going up. By the way, the nicotine patch, like any patch that you can put on, may fall off if you perspire excessively. So during very hot summer days, it might be a bit of a problem. In order to minimize the chances of the patch falling off, do not slap it on right after you come out of shower, because as dry as you may be after you dry yourself following the shower, you will continue to perspire ever so slightly for a little while. My recommendation is get out of the shower, dry yourself, get dressed, and then give it another 10 to 15 minutes before you put on the nicotine patch. Of course, use it on a part of your body where you're not likely to perspire a lot, where it'll not likely come into contact with water. The shoulder or the upper back appear to be fairly good locations. Now, should you sleep with the nicotine patch on? And this is where personal experience comes in, along with a lot of back and forth with many, many users of the nicotine patch. Now, sleeping with the patch on may or may not cause a mild sleep disruption. It may or may not cause you to have vivid dreams. Now, if you're not prone to insomnia, then likely it will not be an issue. Give it a shot. There's no way to know in advance. If it is indeed disrupting your sleep, but you're really liking having it on at night because you get up at night to eat and this prevents it, then, give it some time. Maybe your sleep will get better after a while. You will get used to sleeping with the patch on. Give it a try, give it a few days to see if you will get used to it. If not, it's not worth messing up your sleep. Take it off an hour before you go to bed. Now, as far as the vivid dreaming is concerned, some people get it with nicotine, some other people do not. I tend to kind of get vivid dreams and I really enjoy them. They have never turned into nightmares. But then again, I usually do not have nightmares. I might have one per year, maybe, if that. And those vivid dreams are usually fun and, cute ones. See if it works for you. As mentioned, why would you want to even, deal with these potential side effects and not take the patch out before you go to bed? Well, sleeping with a patch can be a good idea. If you get up at night to eat, it could potentially prevent that. Now, whatever form of nicotine you're using, some nausea is possible. If you experience it, figure out if it's constant or if it's only triggered by certain things. It could be that the smell of certain foods triggers it, or certain smells, which are not food related, trigger it. If so, try and identify them and obviously stay away from them. But even if it's constant, as we mentioned, it is likely to subside or go away completely after a while. I know this sounds strange because you might think, well, if the side effects are likely to disappear relatively quickly, how about the effects? Are the effects also going to go away as quickly? And the answer is no. This happens with a lot of medicines. The side effects tend to go away quickly, whereas the effects stay with you. As strange as it may sound, give it a try. It will likely go away. Now, just one more thing about nausea. Keep in mind that you may experience nausea on many occasions during your weight loss journey. Even eating much less than normal can cause nausea. An empty stomach causes nausea, but usually it doesn't get too bad, even if you're using very powerful substances. In the next video, we'll talk about the most powerful class of drugs for weight loss, the GLP-1 agonists, which include drugs such as Wegovy and Ozempic and all that. And even on those which have a far higher potential to cause nausea, very few people feel that they must stop the treatment. Usually it is tolerable. So relax, hang in there, give it some time. Now let's talk about the gum, which is fun. According to the CDC, this is how you chew a nicotine gum. And the CDC says effects last approximately 2 hours. In my experience, maybe a little bit less. The CDC says nicotine gum is not like regular chewing gum. To use it correctly, bite down slowly on the gum until you feel a tingling in your mouth. Then part the gum between the inside of your cheek and your gums. Hold it for about a minute to let the nicotine absorb into your body. Now, this is a bit of a funny description. Bite down slowly, as in bite down in slow motion. I don't know what they're talking about. But here is how to use it, and this is critical. Take the gum, put it in your mouth, you chew on it just a little bit, maybe 10, 20, at the most 30 seconds, not more. You will then feel a little bit of a bite. You will then feel a stinging sensation on your tongue. It's not bad by any means. Here it says tingling. Yeah, that's also a fair description. As soon as you feel that, you push the gum between the inside of your cheek and your gum and hold it there for about a minute. Then you take it between your teeth again. You chew it ever so slightly once more, again 10, 20 seconds. Then you park it again, and you keep repeating that. As the CDC says, do not eat or drink for 15 minutes before or during use. In my opinion, do not eat for another 5 minutes after use. That last part is not a huge deal, but you know what? If at all possible, after you chew it, do not eat or drink for another few minutes. Now, allow me to once again engage in some shameless self promotion. There are a lot of things on this channel which a doctor can never tell you. Many things can only be covered if you have personal experience about them, if you have been curious and you've collected a lot of varied user feedback over the years. As I said, I'm fanatical about this stuff, and I not only use this stuff myself, but I also go out and talk to people. Any chance I get, I speak to people. And the internet has opened up the entire world to me, and I correspond with a lot of people online one on one. Every time I hear something unusual, I ask questions. This is where this channel is different from all the other material, which usually gives you what you would find on Wikipedia anyway. Now, let me give you an example, something that the doctor cannot tell you. And that is, a lot of people use the nicotine gum inaccurately, wrongly. They not only waste a lot of the nicotine in the gum, but they amplify side effects. What they do is they chew on the gum excessively. You put the gum in your mouth, it's usually flavored, it tastes good, and you start chewing on it like you would chew on a bubble gum, a regular bubble gum. As a result, what happens is you will produce a lot of saliva in your mouth, which you will either have to spit out or swallow. You can't walk around with that saliva in your mouth. It's very, very uncomfortable. Now, if you spit it out, obviously you wasted the nicotine because a lot of the nicotine is now dissolved in the saliva. If you swallow it, which in most cases you will have to do, now you've sent the nicotine directly into your stomach. It will still get absorbed from the lining of your stomach and from the lining of your intestines. However, it gets absorbed less intensively. A smaller percentage of it will get absorbed that way. But more importantly, that nicotine being sent directly into your stomach will cause significant stomach upset. Do not chew on it in order to enjoy it. Do not chew on it like you would chew on a regular chewing gum. Chew on it just enough, 10 to 20 seconds at a time, only in order to activate and release the nicotine. Then park it next to your cheeks. By the way, you may have the following question. If the gum is effective only for up to 2 hours at the most, is it actually worthwhile? Because I need appetite suppression lasting a whole lot longer than that. And the answer is yes, absolutely. Something short acting like the gum can be very, very helpful because you may only need little help during certain times. For example, a lot of my clients really want to limit the amount of calories that they get during lunch so that they have more room to play for dinner. What they do is they drink a strong cup of coffee, chew a nicotine gum 30 minutes before lunch, and then lunch can be either completely skipped or it can be just a cup of yogurt and an apple. Or you may be going to your mother's every Sunday. You may tend to go overboard at your mother's house, and that's exactly when you will use the nicotine gum, for instance. And having a fast-acting agent at hand that you can utilize as needed, that you can utilize if you see yourself slowly drifting towards the binge can be really, really helpful. It gives you confidence. It gives you the power to fight back as opposed to passively wait for the binge to come and hit you like a ton of bricks. Now, other than the gum and the patch, there is nicotine lozenges and there is the nicotine mouth spray. They both work fine. If you like them, I'm perfectly okay with them, but I do have slight reservations about them. With the lozenge, people may produce a lot of saliva in their mouths. That's the way it works with me. My mouth fills up with saliva, and as I said, I run into the kind of problems that you would if you chewed excessively on the gum. Some people have reported not to have this problem at all. And as far as side effects, I couldn't find anything in literature that suggests lozenges have greater side effects than the gum. But it's something that has happened to me and to not everybody, but some people that I've spoken to. The spray, for whatever reason, I felt was a little weaker and a little less effective, but I'm speculating here. There's nothing in the scientific literature to suggest that. I'm merely talking about my personal experience here and the experience of a few people that I know. Another funny thing that happens is when the spray, for example, calls for two sprays into your mouth, people will spray twice and then they'll start second guessing themselves. Did I really press all the way down both times? Should I spray one more time? Or in some other instances, it's like, well, some of it went on my lips. Even though I licked my lips, did I really get all of it? Did I really aim right inside my mouth, or did some of it, just disperse in the surrounding air? They go ahead and usually do a third or fourth spray. Do not use that. Use it properly. Aim right inside your mouth and use as much as the instructions call for. If you want to increase the dose, do so purposefully, not because you feel like you wasted part of it. That's a little, funny anecdote that I've seen a lot of times, which I wanted to share quickly. As I said, gum would be my go-to as opposed to the spray or the lozenge. But these are perfectly fine if you like them. And also, you may be in an office setting. You may be working in a very serious situation where clients come and go, and it may not be all right to be seen with a gum in your mouth. So yeah, these are definitely potentially viable options. Final question. What if you are already smoking? Can you use a nicotine patch anyway? And the answer appears to be yes, you can. In this particular research by Oxford, what they did was they enrolled a whole bunch of smokers and they had them wear a nicotine patch while smoking for 4 weeks and then had them try to quit. They call this preloading with the nicotine patch. Now, the interesting thing, that there are actually two interesting things about the study, and one is they have not asked people how many cigarettes they smoked. I went through the entire published paper. Nothing in there suggests that they have asked people how many cigarettes they smoked. So you could be smoking 3 packs of cigarettes and they still enrolled you. And even though you're getting a hefty dose of nicotine from your smoking, they went ahead and slapped on the people the highest dose nicotine patch, the 21 milligram patch. And still, it appeared to be safe. So that means added nicotine did have an effect and it was safe for a 4 week period in smokers. So, at the very least, this seems to suggest that for a 4 week period, smokers can use a nicotine patch. All right, now you have a solid tool in your arsenal. You can go ahead and utilize nicotine as discussed. Next, let's dial it up a notch. In the next video, we will talk about the GLP-1 agonists, drugs such as Wegovy, Ozempic. Those are the most powerful diet tools ever produced. See you in the next video. Thank you.